Good day, all, and welcome to another edition of Local Legislative Live at 11. I am your host, Charles Gates, where we are a component of locallegislator.net, where our mission is to be the premier source of local election information in the United States and an advocate for the sustainability of local businesses nationwide. We've got Suffolk. There's so many cities here in Hampton Roads, I get mixed up sometimes, but we've got Suffolk City Council seeker Courtney Wolfe with us this morning. Good evening, Miss Wolfe. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And don't start laughing because I will start laughing and then this will turn into a fun fest.
Right.
Okay, we do call these raw interviews because there is no fluff, there is no filler, anything here. So we're going to jump right into this interview if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
We will start off with tell us about Courtney Wolfe and what is your occupation, education, and why are you running for Suffolk City Council?
Great. Well, once again, thank you so much for having me on to have this raw interview. And I promise not to have you bleep me out by having any bad language. But anyhow, um, I'm Courtney Wolfe, a 15-year resident of Suffolk, Virginia. And my educational background, I graduated from Chesapeake Public Schools. I went to Great Bridge High School. Um, my parents are still in our childhood home, so they now live in the Hickory section, but back when I was in high school, it was called Fentress. And we moved to Chesapeake. My father was a Navy officer. He had a job on the USS California, which was part of the Nimitz battle group. And they loved the community out in Chesapeake where they bought their home, which, as by the name Fentress, we did have Fentress Airfield near us, and that's where all of the fighter jets take off and land, and then they circle around and they practice taking off and landing as if they were on aircraft carriers. So I kind of grew up with the culture of the military. I love jet noise now, but as a teenager trying to go to bed, it wasn't that much fun. But I'm off the subject already. So anyhow, Great Bridge High School, I went on to study historic preservation at Mary Washington University, or the Mary Washington College. It's now called the University of Mary Washington. And after graduating from college, needed to get a job and started working in the hospitality industry and worked my way up to be a director of food and beverage and assistant general manager of a large hotel in Virginia Beach, where I met my husband. And after we were married, we sort of moved around the country with his job. He was a hotel manager as well. And we started our family and had my first son in Charleston, West Virginia. And then we moved to California, came back, had two more sons in Montgomery, Alabama, before he moved back to the Hampton Roads area to open the Embassy Suites in Hampton, Virginia. And we decided that Suffolk would be a good place for us to start our home here in the Hampton Roads area. And we bought a house in Suffolk in 2005 and have lived here ever since. My three boys are the joy of my life. And one graduated 2 years ago from Nansemond River High School and now attends VCU in Richmond. And then my other son, Sam, is a senior at Nansemond River, and my youngest is a sophomore. Thomas is a sophomore at Nansemond River High School. So that's a little bit about me. Once I felt that I could work outside of the home on a full-time capacity, I got a job. I interviewed and got a job with Smithfield Foods. I saw that they had opened an office in the Suffolk area, which is it's in North Suffolk near my home. I wanted to be able to be close to my house and close to my kids' school if I was going to work full time. So I took a job as an admin assistant at the supply chain office of Smithfield Foods. And that was about a year and a half ago. And I have thoroughly enjoyed restarting my full-time career working for that phenomenal company. And That's my education, occupation and background. Reasons for running for city council. I've been a civic activist since I was in high school, actually. Uh, Growing up in that area of Chesapeake as a young kid and getting away to college, when I would come home and visit from college, I noticed one big growth in Chesapeake. The intersection near our house used to be a blinking light of Centerville Turnpike and Mount Pleasant Road. Now it's a, 4-6 lane, 2 turn lanes. It's big. So, I saw a lot of growth there. And then moving here to North Suffolk, I witnessed that same growth here. Growth isn't bad. Growth is actually very, very good. We need more houses. We need places for people to live. We need places for people to work. In my opinion, North Suffolk is the star of Hampton Roads. Our location right off of 664 and the accessibility to other areas of the region is unmatched. So I love my community and I do love the growth that's happened out here. We just have not caught up with ourselves with that growth. In North Suffolk in particular, every school that the students from this borough, from the Nansemond borough, every school, elementary, middle, and high school, every school is overcrowded. Our roads, it's hard to get down our roads during high traffic times. They are parking lots. And one of our roads, one of our main thoroughfares, 17, it's Bridge Road in Suffolk, it's Western Branch Boulevard in Chesapeake, but whatever you want to call it, we have a fire station there. And if the traffic's bad, it's tough for those fire trucks and ambulances to get out and to reach the citizens. So I've just witnessed a lot of growth. I would like to be part of helping to fix that. And that was part of the reason for me to run. But the final reason was COVID-19 and witnessing and seeing all of these businesses being shut down. And we don't need to say if they should have or shouldn't have been. It's not my decision to make. But it is a fact that for about 2 or 3 months, our businesses were forced to shut down. And I could not understand why no one in the news, none of the leaders were talking about those lost tax revenue gains from shutting down businesses in this way. And it's going to start to affect our communities. And I wanted to represent, I want to be part of that. I did not feel that the incumbent was the right person to handle that for me and my family. And the best way to do that is to decide to run. So with a week and a half, I walked about 25 miles and got all my signatures. And here I am running as a candidate.
Well, you definitely got your steps in, didn't you?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, what is your full name on the ballot?
Courtney Wolfe.
And how do you spell your last name for our viewers?
It's WOLFE.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is because not all Wolves spell it with an E. So we want to say that for clarification purposes.
Thank you.
Now, we understand that school board candidates are not required to disclose a political party affiliation. Do you associate with any parties?
And that's a good question. Everyone has a history of a party affiliation. And for years, I worked for a wonderful United States congressman, and he was very successful on both sides of the aisle. He was able to pass legislation working with Democrats, and he was able to very effectively represent all of his constituents here. But now we're living in a time of the most polarized political environment I could ever imagine. And, if anyone has been so lucky to see Hamilton in person or to watch it on Disney Plus, yep. I mean, it's worse now. I mean, they've dramaed it up a little, but it's much worse now than even that. I don't want polarization. I don't desire polarization in my community. I desire having everyone work together. This is a funny statement told to me by a friend, but politics don't fix potholes. And we need to remember that on the local level, especially. Politics in Suffolk isn't going to fix our water issue. Politics in Suffolk is not going to fix the schools being overcrowded. I have a history of being a problem solver. And with that, I want to bring a culture to our city council of teamwork and having us all work together to solve problems in Suffolk. And if we can do that, if I'm elected and I'm able to be part of this team and lead by example of how we can work together, how we can come up with some great comprehensive plans together and get stuff done here in Suffolk, I think that we would be a great example to the entire region of how things can be done right for our citizens. So sorry if I skirted that a little bit, but it's important for us to work together, not to be polarized.
Okay. Now, have you held any previous public offices?
I haven't.
It's
No.
your first ride in the rodeo,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
And what?
I've helped them before, but it's nothing like being in the hot seat. Nothing at all.
Well, like they say, now you know.
Right. Right.
And speaking of now, you know, to our viewers out there, if you like this interview and like to see more like this, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, connect with us on Twitter and Instagram, like our Facebook page, and check us out on LinkedIn. And most importantly, remember to leave us a comment to let us know who or what you would like to hear from in the future. And we will do our very best to get that person or that organization rep on the air as soon as possible. Now, Ms. Wolfe, what has been your community involvement and how has that helped you to prepare for this moment?
Well, great question. In 2005, when my youngest, well, here, I'll just summarize what I've done here in Suffolk. Because I have been very involved ever since I was a young child. But when my son started kindergarten in 2005, I immediately joined the PTA and started volunteering in his school. So I've been a member of the PTA in every school my children have attended for the past 15 years. With that, when my oldest entered middle school, they needed someone to step up and be president of their parent teacher student association. And, everyone sits there and listens and keeps their hands down. And it wasn't until the principal and a few other people at the school, some teachers, reached out to me and implored me to please pray over it and think about it and how much of an impact I could make at that school to the students and to please be president. And I agreed. And so because I have, kind of stepladder children, I was a president of that PTSA for 5 years.
Wow.
It's hard to get other people to step up and help. But I'm very proud of the work that I did at John Yates Middle School. I had a very strong board. The first few years, mostly my friends. But then as my friends' children moved out of the high school, I made new friends to join the board. But, over the term of 5 years, we were able to fund over $30,000 in school projects by doing that Yankee Candle fundraiser. But we were able to really impact that school community greatly. I also knew that there were some issues at the school that selling candles simply couldn't fund. So I reached out to some of my friends in the community that were business leaders. And one year I had a gentleman he's passed away since then, but he owned a very successful landscaping business in Suffolk. And he renovated one of our interior atriums at the school, re-landscaped that as best as he could. And then when we were dealing with serious overcrowding issues at that school, and it was after 2 years of the school budget not being funded 100% by the city council, I started seeing trends of teachers leaving Suffolk Public Schools and good teachers leaving John Yates and going to other communities to teach. So I talked to the principal and I asked him, if I could find somebody, this was during the time of extreme home makeover. And I said, if I can find somebody to do an extreme teacher lounge makeover, will you allow me to bring that person in and really help the school and give a morale booster to our teachers? And he said yes, and I got that done. I found a developer that spent a good deal of money to renovate that teacher lounge. And it was just something that the teachers really needed, that huge shot in the arm. So I'm very proud of that, of being able to bring the public and the private together to get a job done. So, the rest of my volunteerism, a lot of it is based around my children. I, of course, help the band, the orchestra. My boys have played soccer and baseball, and I was a soccer coach for Churchland Soccer. I wasn't a baseball coach, but I did serve on the board at Bennett's Creek Little League. And during my term on the board, I was able to help them successfully raise enough money to build a bathroom, which if you're a parent of children with outdoor sports, it's pretty necessary to have a plumbed bathroom and toilets and sinks. So I'm very, very proud of the work that I did at Bennett's Creek Little League. Of course, I Upwards Bound Sports at Ebenezer Church in Suffolk. I was a basketball coach for there for years and years. Now that my sons have grown up and they play school sports, I volunteer for the high school booster club, for the baseball team, for the golf team. I help them out. I live in Burbage Grant. We have a homeowners association here. Any opportunity that I have to help our community by volunteering at some of our sponsored community events, I would always participate in that. I say I would because we just haven't been able to do anything since March. It's very sad, but done that. My good friend, I'll put a plug in for a wonderful small business owner, Sean Hess at the Chesapeake Square Chick-fil-A. He runs the most fantastic Christmas parade ever around Ring Road at Chesapeake Square. And I've had the great honor of assisting him for several years in running that community event there. Let's see, when Jack went to VCU, I guess I asked the housing department so many darn questions that they asked me to be on the parent advisory board for the next year of parents, because I certainly had some questions and they provided me with those answers. So they knew that they would be covered with some of the seminars with the new parents if I sat in on those. And then just a couple fun things that I do outside of my children. Not necessarily fun, but necessary. I was a volunteer for a while with the Rough Road Animal Shelter at Petco. And once a week I would go clean those kitty litter boxes and make sure that the cats were all healthy and well fed to be adopted. But
Well, that can be fun.
it was one I enjoyed loving on the kitties. It's not all glamorous. We all can't do the glamorous things. And it's the people that, it's the people that get down in the trenches and they get jobs done that makes our community better. So, I've done a lot for our community. I'm out in the community a lot, obviously, and hence me wanting to run here and be a bigger part of working some larger problems that we have here in Suffolk.
Okay, well, two more questions for you. The first one is, and it's a loaded question, but very simply, if elected, what are your 4 top goals?
Okay. Should I put, they're all very important. So don't think that 1 through 4 is by any order of importance with me. And there are quite a lot of goals. I'm going to have to look at my little bullet points here. I'm going to be very, very transparent here. But anyhow, just to keep me on track, I think this will help. But first off, I will support our first responders and public safety departments, period. I will support them. I will make sure that that our first responders have the necessary equipment, the necessary training, the necessary facilities, and the necessary staff to do their job. Of course, schools are very important to me. So I want to be involved with our citizens regarding the issues in our school. A good friend of mine told me when we were talking about some of the issues, and I said, this is what I want. This is how I feel about the schools. And he said to me, he said, Courtney, if you're elected, it's not about you any longer. It's about your citizens and what they want. So I will work with this. I want to listen to the citizens. I want to make sure, but in talking with people now, I understand that their issues are the same as mine. So we're going to work on understanding the needs of the citizens with our schools, and then hopefully work with our school board to repair some broken relationships. Some people on the school board may say, oh, there's no broken relationship between the school board and city council. But as a parent, and currently on our city council, there is no direct parent. No one on our city council has children in our public schools right now. Only one member, and he was recently elected to the school board, has children in our Suffolk public schools. Now, others have grandchildren or had children go through the public schools, but no one is boots on the ground in those schools to understand their needs more than me. So I do want to work and make sure that we have a healthy working relationship between city council and the school board. Suffolk needs to catch up with itself with its growth. We need to have someone on council that's going to advocate for a little bit more balanced growth, to make sure that with all of the beautiful housing developments that we have, and we're filling them. We don't have empty houses here in Suffolk. They're getting filled. I mean, our population is growing we're estimated to be the top growing city in all of Virginia. But we need to catch up with ourselves. We need to make sure we can funnel our traffic to and from homes. We need to make sure that we have schools that are big enough to handle the population that we've allowed to grow. We need to make sure that our water is not as expensive to all of the folks that are living in Suffolk. And just make sure that we are providing great parks, trails, sidewalks for our residents to enjoy themselves in. So, and with that, with the balanced growth, if we can just focus for a bit on economic development, really shore up our commercial and business development, attract more daytime business here to our city, then I think that's going to help a little with our tax revenues and give us the funds needed to catch up without raising our taxes, raising those personal property taxes. And lastly, as I said before, I want to commit to creating a culture of teamwork within our city council and with our citizens. I think that if we work as a team on city council, we will be able to tackle those tough issues like our roads, like our water, the lack of internet in our rural areas, and then also COVID and business related items. It's really important for us to just start working together, not working as if we're only representing our boroughs. You know, we're elected in our borough, but we represent the entire city. We need to think that way when we're sitting on that dais. And those are my top 4.
Okay, now last question for you. How can we find out more information about you and your campaign?
Great question. If I may use some props, this might help, but I opened a website. I didn't think that I would need a website, but I was getting so many Facebook messages asking me for my platform, my thoughts. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put all of my writing onto the website. And how people can help my campaign. So that website it's CourtneyForSuffolk.com. So COURTNEY, the number 4, and then Suffolk.com. Of course, I have a Facebook page that is Courtney Wolfe for Nansemond Borough, Suffolk. but it's easy to remember. If you just look up Courtney 23435, 23435 is a zip code for this area of Suffolk. I figured that would be an easy way for folks to find me. And then, of course, my website, Facebook page has my Gmail email address, but if someone wants to jot this down, my Gmail account is Courtney23435@gmail.com. So folks can reach me via my website, email, Facebook. I just recently mailed an introduction letter to every registered voter in Suffolk. And as a newcomer, even though a lot of people know me through my children and my work in the city, it's important for people to see it on paper, what I stand for. But we need new leadership in Suffolk, and we need someone who will be for our community all 4 years of their term, not just at election time. And I vow to be there all 4 years. And just another real quick remark here. I was asked in another interview, how I would want to be thought of after 4 years of a term on city council if I'm elected. And honestly, if I have to wait 4 years to find out how I'm doing something wrong. I want to know immediately that I'm out in that community and I'm talking to folks and I'm working with our city council and we're getting the job done. So I don't want to be measured after 4 years. I want to be measured immediately because I don't plan to take a lot of time. I plan to hit the ground running and start working immediately for our citizens because we've got some challenges and I'm ready to face those.
It sounds like you are ready to be held accountable and get things done.
Yes,
That
sir.
is highly commendable of you. Well, Courtney Wolfe, thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us. It
You're
was a
welcome.
it was a pleasure talking to you today. And to our viewers out there, we hope you enjoyed this interview. And these are called our Raw Candidate Interview Series. We offer this opportunity to every local candidate in the entire Hampton Roads and Richmond metro area. If you know anyone that fits that platform, have them reach out to us and we will do our best to get that person on the air. Now, they won't be live. I know some of you are used to watching us on our live programs. There's too many people running for these different positions. Therefore, we're not offering a live production of that interview. But we will do these and we will get them posted immediately upon, well, as quickly as we can upon the completion of those interviews. Again, remember to leave us a comment. Let us know what you liked about it, who you would like to see on here next. If you have an organization in mind, again, we're strictly a public service announcement type forum. We simply want to get the information that you are looking for. And remember, at the end of the day, we're not global, we are local. You are watching Local Legislator Live at 11. Courtney Wolfe, one last time, thank you so much, and Godspeed to you in all of your future endeavors. Take care, everyone. See you next time.